Tonight, listeners, we journeyed to Blackwood Manor, a sprawling estate on the edge of town, where an invitation comes with a warning, and one detective is about to uncover a secret that has haunted the manor for decades. Detective Nathaniel Cross adjusted his fedora as he stepped from the idling taxi. The gravel drive of Blackwood Manor crunched underfoot, the late autumn wind carrying the scent of damp leaves and distant pine. The mansion loomed ahead, ivy crawling up its stone walls, windows darkened as though keeping watch on the approaching stranger. Cross had been summoned by a letter, sealed with wax, unsigned, but written in a meticulous hand. Detective Cross, come alone. The manor holds answers long forgotten. The lantern awaits. N.H.E. frowned. Invitations were rare, but ominous ones like this were rarer still. Yet curiosity, paired with duty, had brought him here. NNTHE front doors creaked open as he approached. A butler, tall and solemn, stepped into the doorway, his face pale and lined with age. "Detective Cross," the man said in a measured tone. "We've been expecting you. Please, come inside. The master of the house awaits your arrival in the library." Cross nodded, stepping over the threshold. The interior smelled of aged wood, polished brass, and a faint tang of smoke from long extinguished fireplaces. Candle sconces lined the walls, casting dancing shadows that seemed almost alive in the grand hallway. "And you will find the rest of the guests assembled," the butler continued. "But one must proceed carefully. The manor does not forgive haste." "Noted," Cross said, letting his eyes roam the room. The hall stretched far into darkness, adorned with portraits of stern ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow him. The wooden floors creaked under his steps, each echo a warning or perhaps a greeting. At the library, heavy doors opened to reveal a small gathering, a mix of townsfolk and distant relatives, all murmuring. At the center, an enormous fireplace glowed, the hearth casting light over a tall figure seated in an armchair. Lord Edward Blackwood and Cross approached. Lord Blackwood's eyes, sharp and calculating, studied him. "Detective," he said, voice rich and commanding, "thank you for coming on such short notice. The manor has mysteries. I believe someone among us may be linked to a crime long thought buried." Cross raised an eyebrow. "A crime, sir?" Blackwood nodded slowly, leaning back. "Yes. 25 years ago, a family member disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Some said it was a tragedy. Others whispered foul play. And yet, the truth has remained elusive until tonight." A murmur rippled through the guests. Cross's instincts sharpened. He had entered a house of secrets, where every shadow could conceal danger, and every smile might mask deceit. "Tonight," Blackwood continued, "we shall revisit the past, guided by the lantern. Its light may illuminate more than just the hallways. Detective Cross, you will lead the inquiry. I trust your judgment, but beware. Not all will welcome your discoveries." And Cross surveyed the faces in the room, the worried niece, the wealthy investor, the family lawyer, and several others he didn't know. Each carried their own expressions of apprehension, curiosity, and guarded intent. NNHE exhaled slowly. "Very well, Lord Blackwood. Let's see what truth your lantern can reveal." As the first guest lit the lantern, the shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally across the walls, and a faint sound, a whisper, a gasp, a warning, echoed from the farthest corner of the manor. Someone, somewhere, had secrets they were willing to kill to protect. A single lantern illuminates the library, yet the shadows of Blackwood Manor reveal more than the eye can see. Detective Cross is about to uncover the first clue, one that will send ripples of fear through the gathered guests. NNTHE lantern's flame flickered, casting long, wavering shadows that danced across the walls of the library. Cross held his notebook close, eyes scanning the room. Every portrait seemed to watch, every whisper of movement suggesting a hidden truth. Lord Blackwood stood, motioning for the guests to sit. "The lantern will guide us," he said. "Its light has revealed secrets in this house for generations. Let us see what it reveals tonight." Cross watched carefully as the flame moved along the walls. Something caught his attention, a subtle shift near the large bookcase at the back. One of the books seemed slightly out of place, its spine tilted at an odd angle. NNHE stepped forward, pretending to adjust a seat. Fingers brushing the book, he felt a faint draft. The book was a lever. Slowly, he pulled it, and the bookcase creaked, revealing a narrow passageway hidden behind. NNGASPs echoed softly from the guests. Lord Blackwood's expression remained calm, but Cross could see a flicker of surprise in his eyes. "Interesting," he murmured. "It seems the manor still holds its secrets." Cross stepped inside, lantern held high. The passage was tight, lined with cold stone walls. Dust hung in the air, disturbed by his cautious movements. A faint smell of earth and age filled his nostrils. At the end of the passage, he discovered a small chamber. Its contents were startling: an old desk, papers strewn about, and a single drawer slightly ajar. Cross approached, examining the documents. They appeared to be letters, some dated decades back, written in a precise hand. NNHE read quickly, piecing together fragments of the past. References to family disputes, financial betrayals, and veiled threats leaped from the pages. One letter, in particular, stood out, a note from the missing family member. "N, if anything happens to me, know that the truth lies in the shadows of this house. Trust no one." And Cross's jaw tightened. The message confirmed his suspicions. The disappearance decades ago had not been an accident. Someone within this very manor had a hand in it. A sudden noise startled him, a soft thump followed by a muffled cough. He spun toward the passage, lantern light illuminating the shadows. A figure darted across the hall outside, disappearing behind a curtain. Cross's instincts kicked in. "Who's there?" he called, voice firm. Silence, except for the whispering flame of the lantern and the faint rustle of the floorboards. Whoever had moved so quickly knew the house well. They were hiding, watching, waiting. NNHE returned to the guests, keeping the discovery to himself for the moment. "The manor holds more than meets the eye," he said, carefully watching their reactions. "There are hidden spaces, documents, and perhaps clues about the family member who disappeared." NNTHE young niece Eleanor Blackwood paled. "Documents? In the manor? But the letters were destroyed years ago." Cross nodded slowly. "Apparently not. Some secrets were preserved for a reason. Tonight, we uncover them." As the group pondered, the lantern's light flickered violently. The shadows along the walls stretched toward them as if alive, reaching, whispering. A cold draft swept through the library. From the corner of his eye, Cross noticed a small, folded note tucked beneath a rug. Its presence was deliberate. He bent down to pick it up, unfolding it slowly. The words, written in hurried, shaky handwriting, chilled him to the bone. "Detective Cross, they are watching. Trust no one." A cryptic note warns Detective Cross. The lantern flickers, and the manor itself seems alive. The hidden attic may hold the truth, or the next danger waiting in the dark. Cross tucked the note into his coat pocket, eyes sweeping the room. The guests murmured nervously, glancing at one another as if each feared the other might be responsible for the letters, the secret passage, or the warning. NNHE motioned subtly toward Lord Blackwood. "May I speak with you for a moment?" NNTHE elderly lord nodded, following Cross to a quiet corner of the library. "Detective, the manor has never revealed its secrets so readily," he said, voice low. "I hope you know what you're doing." And Cross studied him carefully. "I do, but someone wants to keep certain truths hidden. The note I found, it suggests I am being watched. I need access to all areas of the house, including the attic." NNLORD Blackwood hesitated. "The attic has been locked for years. None dare enter. Strange sounds, shadows, and unexplained disappearances. But since you ask..." He handed Cross a large iron key. "Be careful, detective. Some doors should remain closed." Cross took the key and nodded. "Thank you. I intend to be cautious." NNTHE staircase to the attic creaked as he climbed, each step groaning under his weight. Dust hung in the air like a fog, disturbed by his slow ascent. The corridor was lined with doors, storage rooms, closets, and finally, the main attic door. The key fit perfectly, turning with a satisfying click. Inside, the attic was a time capsule. Old trunks, faded portraits, and forgotten furniture lay scattered. Cobwebs hung from the beams, and the lantern's light cast intricate shadows across the wooden floor. Cross moved carefully, scanning the room. Then he noticed something odd. A small trap door in the corner, almost hidden beneath a stack of crates. Dust had collected around its edges, but a faint pattern suggested it had been recently disturbed. He knelt, prying it open. Below lay a narrow staircase descending into darkness. A cold draft rose, carrying the scent of damp earth and decay. Cross felt a shiver run down his spine, but he pressed forward. At the bottom, he entered a hidden chamber. The walls were lined with shelves, jars, and boxes, evidence of meticulous organization. Among the items, he found a collection of personal belongings, letters, jewelry, and photographs of the missing family member. And Cross sifted through them, piecing together the mystery. One photograph, taken shortly before the disappearance, revealed something troubling: a shadowy figure standing behind the subject, partially hidden, almost imperceptible. The handwriting on the back read, "Watch the light, trust no one." Suddenly, a noise from above startled him, a creak, followed by a faint footstep. Someone had followed him into the attic. Cross froze, lantern held high, eyes scanning the shadows, and a whisper drifted down. "Detective, you shouldn't have come here." And Cross's heart pounded. He adjusted his stance, revolver ready, and called upward. "Show yourself. Whoever is up there, I mean to find the truth tonight." And the attic fell silent. Only the lantern's flame flickered, as though the room itself were holding its breath. Then, a shadow moved across the attic entrance. A figure emerged slowly from the darkness, one hand clutching an old lantern, the other hiding something. And in that instant, Cross realized the hidden attic might hold not only the past, but the next danger waiting to strike. A shadowed figure, a flickering lantern, and whispers from the past. Detective Cross is about to confront the first ghost of Blackwood Manor. But is it a spirit or someone very much alive? And Cross tightened his grip on his revolver, lantern held high, as the figure slowly descended the attic stairs. The dim light revealed a woman, tall, draped in a dark shawl, her face partially hidden in shadow. "You shouldn't be here," she said, voice low, almost melodic. "The manor doesn't forgive intruders." Cross raised an eyebrow. "Intruder? I'm here to uncover the truth and protect the innocent." "Who are you?" And woman stepped closer, lantern casting flickering light across her face. Cross froze. The features were familiar, almost spectral, pale, sharp, with eyes that seemed to pierce the darkness. "They call me the Ghost of Blackwood," she whispered. "Some call me Eleanor. And you, Detective Cross, you've found more than you bargained for." And Cross's mind raced. "Eleanor? But she disappeared decades ago. The family believed her dead." "I was never dead," she said softly, hidden, watched, and forced into silence. "The manor demanded secrets, detective. Secrets that would have destroyed lives if revealed. And now, you've come, and the lantern has called you." Cross studied her carefully. "The letters, the note, the passages were all leading me here?" Eleanor nodded. "Yes, and now the truth must be faced. But beware. Not all who wish to keep the past buried are gone. Some remain, hiding behind the veil of civility, willing to kill to maintain it." And Cross scanned the attic. Dust motes shimmered in the lantern light, stacks of forgotten belongings creating dark pockets where someone could easily hide. The air was thick with tension, each shadow a potential threat. "Then tell me," he said slowly. "What happened all those years ago? Why disappear? Why hide?" Eleanor took a deep breath. "I discovered a plot, a betrayal within the family. Someone sought to claim the estate, the ledger, and the reputation for themselves. I had no choice but to vanish. But I left clues, detective. The letters, the hidden passages, the warnings. All of it to ensure that the truth would one day come to light." Cross's gaze fell to the documents on the floor. He picked up a letter, reading quickly. Names, dates, veiled threats, everything fit together now. The disappearance, the hidden attic, the cryptic warnings, all orchestrated to protect the manor's secrets. And a sudden sound startled him, a floorboard creaking above. Cross's instincts flared. "Someone else is here," he murmured, revolver ready. Eleanor nodded. "Yes, the one who orchestrated my disappearance is still alive. They know the ledger exists, and they'll do anything to keep it. And the past, hidden." Cross's jaw tightened. Then we stop them. Tonight. NSHE handed him an old brass key, engraved with symbols he didn't recognize. This opens the study, the place where the final pieces of the puzzle are kept. Be careful. You're walking into the heart of danger. The attic seemed to grow colder, the shadows stretching, swirling. Cross felt the weight of history pressing on him, the manor itself watching. As he pocketed the key, a sudden gust extinguished the lantern. In the pitch-black attic, a whisper cut through the darkness. Detective Cross. Some ghosts never forgive intruders. With Eleanor's key in hand, Detective Cross is about to enter the manor's hidden study. Every step draws him closer to the truth, and closer to danger he has not yet imagined. Cross crept down the dim corridor, lantern now relit, its flame trembling with every step. The brass key from Eleanor felt heavy in his pocket, a small object holding the weight of decades. The walls of Blackwood Manor seemed to breathe around him, their shadows stretching as if warning him to turn back. At the far end of the hall, behind a tall, book-lined door, Cross found the study. The key fit perfectly, sliding into the lock with a satisfying click. He pushed the door open slowly, revealing a room untouched by time. Dust-covered furniture, ornate shelves, and a heavy desk dominated the space. Cross's eyes immediately fell on a large ledger, bound in dark leather, resting atop the desk. Its edges were worn, pages yellowed with age. This was it, the record Eleanor had protected, the heart of the manor's secrets. NHE opened it carefully, the pages crackling softly. Names, dates, letters, financial transactions, even threats and confessions, all meticulously recorded. Each entry painted a vivid picture of betrayal, greed, and long-buried lies. Cross traced his finger down a column of names, noting connections he hadn't seen before. Some were townspeople, some distant relatives, and others, surprisingly, influential figures who still wielded power quietly. The ledger revealed motives, opportunities, and the web that had led to Eleanor's disappearance decades ago. And a noise behind him made Cross spin. The shadows shifted. A figure stood at the study's threshold. A tall man, face partially obscured by the dim light. The intruder from earlier, the orchestrator of the past events, had followed him. "You shouldn't be here, detective," the man said, voice low and cold. "The study is mine. The ledger belongs to me," and Cross squared his shoulders. "It belongs to no one who uses it to threaten, to kidnap, or to kill. It stays here, in safe hands." NNTHE man stepped closer, eyes glinting in the lantern light. "Safe hands? You think you can protect the secrets of Blackwood Manor? You're a fool. Some truths are too dangerous to live." Cross's revolver was steady, but his mind raced. The intruder had studied the manor, knew the passages, and had been patient, waiting for the perfect moment. But patience could be turned against him. NNHE glanced at the ledger. Perhaps there was one last clue hidden within, a hint, a trap, or a message that could turn the tide. He scanned the pages and his heart skipped, a hidden note tucked between the pages, written in Eleanor's handwriting. "Trust only the light. One path leads to truth, the other to ruin." Cross swallowed, realizing the meaning. The intruder's next move would decide everything. Either the secrets would be exposed, or the truth would vanish forever. NNTHE room seemed to shrink, the shadows pressing closer. Cross shifted slightly, using the desk as cover, eyes locked on the intruder. Suddenly, a floorboard behind the intruder creaked, and a second figure emerged. Someone Cross had not expected. In the flickering lantern light, he recognized her. Eleanor herself, stepping from the shadows, holding a small revolver. Calm and unwavering. "Detective Cross," she said, voice steady. "The final truth begins now." The hidden study becomes a battlefield of wits and nerves. Detective Cross faces the intruder, but with Eleanor's unexpected return, the truth of Blackwood Manor may finally come to light. Cross's eyes darted between the intruder and Eleanor. Both had weapons, both had reasons to act. The flickering lantern cast shadows across the walls, turning every object into a potential ally or threat. NN, detective. Eleanor said calmly, keeping her revolver trained on the intruder. "You've seen enough to understand. The ledger reveals everything, but some truths are dangerous. He wanted to bury them forever." NNTHE intruder's eyes narrowed. "Step aside, Eleanor." "Detective, hand me the ledger. It's the only way to end this quietly." "The past must stay hidden." Cross's jaw tightened. "Quietly? You threatened, kidnapped, and lied. The past isn't hidden. The truth belongs to the light, not shadows." Eleanor stepped closer to Cross, nodding subtly. "Trust me. He cannot be allowed to leave with the ledger." "Not tonight." NNTHE intruder lunged, and Cross fired a warning shot, the crack echoing through the study. Eleanor moved simultaneously, forcing the intruder back. The three circled, tension thick in the air, the lantern light dancing across faces filled with determination and fear, and Cross took a deep breath. The ledger doesn't just hold secrets, it holds consequences. One wrong move, and lives are ruined. You won't have it. NNTHE intruder's hand hovered near his coat pocket. Cross knew instinctively. Another weapon, another trick. But Eleanor anticipated the move, raising her revolver just enough to make the intruder hesitate. "You've been hiding, scheming for decades," Cross said steadily. "But now it ends. Leave the ledger here. No one else needs to be hurt." NNTHE intruder's eyes darted, calculating escape routes, considering desperate measures. Finally, with a grunt of frustration, he backed away, raising his hands. "This isn't over," he warned. "Some truths are cursed. The manor will always demand its price." Eleanor lowered her revolver, letting a sigh of relief escape. "And you, detective, have proven you can face the past without fear." And Cross approached the ledger, lifting it carefully. He opened the first page and scanned the entries one final time, committing every detail to memory. Names, dates, betrayals, all meticulously recorded, now safe from those who would misuse them. NNTHE intruder, seeing no escape, finally retreated through the study door, disappearing into the shadows of the manor. Cross knew he would be caught eventually, but for tonight, the danger had passed. Eleanor closed the ledger and handed it to Cross. "You understand now," she said quietly, "why it had to be protected. Some secrets, once exposed, can destroy generations, but the truth, it also heals." And Cross nodded. And tonight, Blackwood Manor finally begins to heal. No more shadows, no more whispers, at least for now. NNTHE storm outside had calmed. Moonlight poured through the library windows, silvering the polished wood and flickering lanterns. The manor seemed to breathe, finally at peace after decades of hidden fear. Only as Cross prepared to leave the study, a faint sound caught his ear, a whisper from the far corner, almost a breath known. "Detective Cross. Remember, the lantern reveals all, but some shadows linger. Even with the intruder gone, Blackwood Manor holds one final secret, a hidden passageway that promises answers, or danger. Detective Cross must navigate it carefully, guided by the lantern's uncertain light." Cross moved carefully through the library, Eleanor at his side. The intruder had vanished, but the feeling of being watched lingered, like the last echo of a whisper in a long-forgotten room. "And detective," Eleanor murmured, pointing to a portion of the library wall partially hidden by an ornate tapestry. "There's another secret here, one that even the ledger doesn't reveal fully." Cross examined the wall, tracing his fingers over the patterns of the tapestry. He noticed a small indentation, a subtle groove shaped like a keyhole. Pulling from his pocket the brass key Eleanor had given him, he slid it into the indentation. With a soft click, a section of the wall swung inward, revealing a narrow passageway. Dust swirled as air rushed through the opening, carrying the faint scent of old wood and damp earth. The passage was steep and dark, descending beneath the manor like the roots of the ancient house itself. And Cross held the lantern high, its flame trembling as he stepped inside. Eleanor followed closely, revolver raised, every nerve alert. The walls were close, carved from stone, rough and cold to the touch. The faint sound of dripping water echoed through the tunnel. "This passage, it wasn't meant to be found," Eleanor whispered. "Only those seeking the heart of the manor, the source of its mysteries, could enter." Cross's mind raced. What could lie at the end of the tunnel? The ledger had revealed much, but this passage felt like a final layer, one even the intruder didn't know. As they descended, The passage widened into a small underground chamber. The floor was uneven, the walls lined with shelves of dust-covered tomes and artifacts. In the center stood a pedestal, upon which rested an intricately carved lantern, its glass faintly glowing despite the years. And Cross approached it slowly. "So this is the lantern mentioned in the letters," he said, voice hushed. "It's almost alive," Eleanor nodded. "It guides, but it also warns. The intruder feared it. That's why the ledger was hidden. This lantern, it reveals more than names and dates. It shows connections, motivations, and the truth behind the shadows." Cross reached out, touching the lantern. A warmth radiated from the metal, and for a brief moment, he saw visions of the past. Eleanor's disappearance, the intruder plotting, whispered conversations in hidden corners of the manor. The entire history of Blackwood Manor seemed to unfold before his eyes. Suddenly, a faint sound came from deeper within the passage. Footsteps, slow and deliberate. Cross and Eleanor froze, lantern light quivering. Someone else had entered the chamber. Cross whispered, "We're not alone." Eleanor's eyes narrowed, and she stepped closer to him. A figure emerged from the shadows, a servant from the manor, long thought loyal, now revealing a hidden allegiance. "You shouldn't have come here," the servant hissed, holding a small knife. "The lantern reveals all, but some truths are too dangerous to see," and Cross's heart raced. The final confrontation was about to begin, and the hidden passageway had become a trap. The lantern flickered violently, casting the chamber in shifting shadows, as Cross realized that the person before him might be the last guardian of a secret that could destroy everything, or finally set Blackwood Manor free. The hidden passageway leads to a confrontation that could decide the fate of Blackwood Manor. Detective Cross faces the final guardian, someone whose loyalty and motives are as shadowed as the manor itself. Cross tightened his grip on his revolver, eyes fixed on the figure emerging from the shadows. The small knife glinted in the lantern light, and the servant's stance was rigid, ready to strike. Eleanor remained calm, revolver poised, her gaze unwavering. "You shouldn't have come here," the servant repeated, voice low and threatening. "The lantern reveals everything, yes, but some truths are meant to stay hidden." And Cross took a slow, careful step forward. "We're here for the truth. The manor's secrets belong to history now, not to fear or deception." Servant's eyes flickered, a mixture of loyalty, fear, and hesitation crossing his face. "I serve the manor," he said quietly. "Always have. I protected it, even from those who thought they could bring it peace." "Peace isn't built on lies or fear," Cross replied firmly. "Step aside. No one else needs to be hurt tonight." The chamber was tight, shadows twisting with every movement. The lantern's flame flickered, highlighting the servant's tension, Eleanor's calm determination, and Cross's careful calculations. Every moment seemed to stretch, as if time itself held its breath. Servant hesitated, glancing toward the pedestal where the lantern glowed faintly. Cross noticed a subtle shift in his posture. The knife lowered slightly. He seized the moment. "You have a choice," he said, voice steady. "Protect the manor or protect your fear. The two cannot coexist." Servant's hands trembled, and for a moment, it seemed the conflict within him would explode. Then, slowly, he lowered the knife completely and stepped back, eyes never leaving the glowing lantern. "Very well," he whispered. "I see now the truth must be revealed." Cross nodded. "Good. Then we can end this without more harm." Eleanor approached the pedestal, her hands hovering over the lantern. "Detective," she said softly, "this lantern isn't just a light. It's a record of history, a guide to justice, and a symbol of the manor's vigilance. With it, we ensure the past cannot repeat itself." And Cross examined the lantern. Its glow pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, illuminating the chamber and the faces of those present. The shadows receded slightly, revealing the intricate carvings on the walls. The story of Blackwood Manor etched into stone and wood. Servant nodded. "I understand. The manor's secrets, they will be protected, but not hidden behind fear." Cross lowered his revolver, feeling the tension in the chamber ease. Eleanor tucked the ledger safely under her arm, the brass key glinting in the lantern's light. The hidden passageway, once a place of danger and deception, had become a sanctuary of truth. And as the three emerged from the passageway, lantern in hand, Cross glanced around the manor one last time. Outside, the first light of dawn broke over Blackwood Manor. Yet, even in the new day, a whisper lingered in the breeze. Some shadows remain waiting. The night's dangers have passed. But as dawn rises over Blackwood Manor, Detective Cross and Eleanor uncover the final truths and realize some shadows linger, even in daylight. Neither the first light of morning painted the manor in soft gold. Shadows retreated, revealing the grandeur of Blackwood Manor in all its weathered beauty. Cross stepped onto the stone terrace, lantern in hand, Eleanor beside him, the ledger safely secured under her arm. "Detective," Eleanor said softly, "the intruder, the servant, the passages, all of it is resolved. But the manor will always hold memories. Some are kind, others not." And Cross nodded. "Yes, but tonight we've ensured that the truth can't be buried again. The ledger is safe. The manor's secrets will guide, not terrorize." They walked through the grounds. The gardens, frost-tipped and quiet, glimmered in the dawn. The air was crisp, carrying faint whispers of the past, of footsteps long gone, and voices silenced for decades. Cross felt the weight of history lifting slightly, replaced by the hope of clarity and justice. Eleanor led him to the library. The intruder was gone, the servant reconciled with his conscience, and the hidden passages secured. The ledger rested on the desk, a silent testament to courage, vigilance, and patience. And Cross studied the room, imagining the generations who had walked these halls, plotting, hiding, loving, and fearing. "The manor has endured," he said, voice low, "not because of its walls, but because of the people who guarded it, and those who seek truth." Eleanor smiled faintly. "And now, we can rest. The lantern will continue to watch over the manor. Its light will guide those who seek knowledge and caution those who would misuse it." Cross glanced once more at the lantern, its glow steady and reassuring. "It's more than a tool. It's a reminder that even in darkness there is illumination." NNTHE servants began to stir, opening the windows, letting in fresh air. Outside, the town below the manor began its day, unaware of the night's revelations. Cross knew it was better that way. The past's shadows could remain in memory, but the present could breathe freely. Eleanor handed the ledger to Cross. "The record belongs to the house now," she said, "and through it, the manor itself will ensure history is remembered honestly." And Cross tucked the ledger into a protective case. "Then Blackwood Manor is finally at peace. For now, at least. Some shadows may linger, but the truth will guide the way." They paused at the terrace railing, watching the sun climb higher. The manor seemed to exhale, the years of secrecy and fear slowly lifting, replaced by light and quiet resolve. But, even as the dawn warmed the stones, a figure lingered at the edge of the garden, someone watching, silent and patient. Cross didn't see them yet, but he knew instinctively. In Blackwood Manor, vigilance is never complete, and some secrets may never fully rest. The dawn reveals Blackwood Manor in quiet splendor. Detective Cross must tie together every thread of mystery, ensuring the truth endures and the past no longer haunts the present. Then Cross moved through the library, lantern in hand, the morning sunlight now streaming through tall windows. Dust motes floated lazily in the golden light, and for the first time in weeks, the manor seemed at peace. Eleanor stood beside him, her expression a mixture of relief and quiet pride. "Detective, the ledger, the passages, the intruder, all of it is secured. The manor's history is preserved honestly now." And Cross nodded, taking a deep breath. "Yes. But history is never just a record. It's lived, remembered, and learned from. Tonight, the manor has offered its lessons, not in fear, but in vigilance and courage." They approached the ledger, resting on the ornate desk. Cross opened it once more, tracing the names and entries with care. The intruder's threats, the servant's loyalty, Eleanor's hidden life. All the pieces finally fit together. The mystery of Blackwood Manor, long concealed by shadows and silence, was complete. And outside, the grounds glimmered in the sun, frost melting into the gardens, and the manor seemed to breathe anew. The secret passageways were sealed, the hidden attic secured, and the ledger would remain a guiding record. Cross turned to Eleanor. "You hid to protect the truth. You return to guide it. And the manor itself has shown us that its strength lies not in walls or shadows, but in those who honor it. Eleanor smiled faintly. And now, detective, the manor can watch over itself. Its stories are safe. The lantern will continue to shine, guiding those who respect its purpose. Cross stepped onto the terrace, feeling the warmth of the morning sun on his face. The fog, the shadows, the creaks and whispers of the night, all had passed. The manor, for the first time in decades, was quiet. Yet in that quiet he sensed vigilance, a lingering awareness in the very stones and timbers. Blackwood Manor had endured because it was more than a house. It was a custodian of truth. And now, with the ledger and the lantern, the lessons of its past were preserved. Cross glanced down toward the town, waking slowly below the hill. The residents had no knowledge of the night's events, and perhaps it was better that way. Some mysteries were meant to be resolved quietly, with justice served without fanfare. And NHE felt Eleanor's hand lightly on his arm. Detective Cross, you've done more than uncover secrets. You've honored the past and protected the future. And Cross nodded. It's what we must do when we face shadows. Not just illuminate them, but learn from them. Blackwood Manor's past will never vanish, but it no longer has to haunt the present. NNTHE lantern glowed steadily, a small circle of light reflecting in Cross's eyes. He knew its watch would continue long after he left, and that the lessons of courage, vigilance, and integrity would endure. With the ledger secured and the intruder gone, Blackwood Manor rested in peace. Eleanor's return and Cross's careful guidance ensured that the truths of the past were revealed safely. The house, once full of fear and deception, now stood as a testament to patience, courage, and the enduring power of justice. Cross turned toward the terrace gate, taking one last look at the manor, its ivy-clad walls bathed in sunlight. Somewhere, deep within, the lantern's glow pulsed softly, a heartbeat of the past and a promise for the future. And The End.